According to self-improvement on the internet, almost everything is life-changing. But we all know that that's not true.
This is a story of a madman.
The reality is that there are very few things that are actually life-changing.
That's a $7 value for only $3.50.
Wow, that could be a winner.
Merriam-Webster defines life-changing as having or capable of having a significant impact on someone's life. Today, I'd like to share a few things that have been life-changing for me, and maybe they can be life-changing for you as well.
You'd find life lots more simple if you owned this sensational Westinghouse.
Minimalism. I was introduced to minimalism by my mom. She handed me a book called Everything That Remains by these guys, the Minimalists, in spring of 2014. This book changed how I saw the world. When I looked around, I saw a society around me so consumed with gaining more and more material possessions. And before reading this book, I assumed that that was how you had to function because, well, everyone else did. This was the first time that I put any thought into the philosophy of intentional living. Ultimately, minimalism has had a significant impact on how I've chosen to live my adult life, far beyond just choosing to live with fewer physical possessions. Fitness and nutrition. I've re-recorded this particular section of the video exactly 16 times now, and I still don't quite know what to say about fitness and nutrition. There are three basic things here I want to talk about. Number one, 80% whole foods, 20% whatever I want. From a nutrition standpoint, that's pretty much been my diet. I don't have a specific diet. I do know I tend to aim for about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, but it's totally approximate. I don't track macros anymore. I'm very aware of what my macros are because I've needed to in the past. I generally just know this is about right. I've been able to eat intuitively for a while and intentionally gain or lose weight when I want to. Moving my body is a cornerstone of everything else that I do. If I don't have my nutrition and my movement locked in, the rest of my life starts to fall apart pretty quickly. It is a core of who I am, and I'm not sure what I would do without it. The mental clarity that movement gives me is something that I don't think I can overstate enough. You're intentionally doing something that is physically hard every day. It makes everything else in my life so much easier to do when I need to do other difficult things. Okay, I hope there's something in those 16 takes I can use here. Financial literacy. I can really thank my dad for this one. He wanted to be very sure that I knew before I went out into the world on my own that I had a very good grasp on how money worked. Thanks to my dad, I started investing when I got my first job when I was 16. I've never taken on any consumer debt, and I'm on track to retire in my 40s, even with the inevitable career pivots and changes that have happened throughout my life. I don't think I can actually appreciate how much peace this has brought me over the years. I've never once laid in bed at night wide awake worrying about money like I've heard so many people talk about. It's just never been a consideration for me because before I had money of my own, I understood how it worked. So thanks, Dad. My weekly planning session. This is a smaller scale life change, but it has made a significant impact on how I live my life day in and day out. If you haven't seen my video about this, this is basically a 1-hour planning session I have with myself every single week on Sundays to review the previous week and prepare for the next week. And it really has been one of those things that has been truly life-changing in a much more day-to-day aspect. Controlling my attention. We live in an attention economy, and our time is truly money, especially as every moment of our time that is online has continued to become more and more and more monetized. It's become more and more important to control how I'm spending my time in relation to that information. So I basically quit taking in any news. If something is important enough, I will inevitably hear about it. I'm also very much in control of how I spend my time and how I interact with social media. Most of the time, it's just not interacting with it. I know there are times when I don't feel in control of my attention and anxieties start boiling up. Things that I didn't even care about start becoming important to me. And I always get very confused about who I am and what I believe, and that can happen very, very quickly. And I can't imagine what would happen if I was consistently stuck in that attention trap for a long period of time. There's so much noise, so many voices, everyone has an opinion. I mean, you're listening to my opinion right now. In a big picture, we can lose track of who we are and what we believe. Think about how many times looking through the news or social media you've gotten angry, upset, confused, or at a bare minimum, at least just overstimulated. For me, at least, having space in my day without input has been so important for feeling well as a person. And I know that can sometimes be really hard to do, especially if you don't feel well inside. It's much easier to drown that out and just push it off rather than dealing with it. That's kind of been my litmus test for, am I doing well as a person, or do I need to do a lot of internal work? Can I sit alone with my thoughts and be absolutely okay? If I can be, then I know I'm doing well. Otherwise, I need to stop and do some internal work. Understanding your core values. I strongly believe that finding your core values is the most important first step in living the life that you want to live. If you don't know what's important to you, then how can you work towards it? I didn't discover core values until much later in my self-improvement process, and it would have saved me a lot of pain and suffering of trying on different hats of trying to figure out who I wanted to be, rather than just acknowledging this is who I am and this is who I want to be more like. I have a video about it. It's linked down in the description if you'll want to check it out. So as I was editing, I realized I missed something important, and that was pursuing joy instead of happiness. If you ask most people what they want in life, they'll probably say a few different things, and then they'll sum it up with something like, and ultimately, I just want to be happy. And if they don't explicitly say it, they might at least imply it. A few years ago, I realized pursuing happiness wasn't sustainable because happiness is a feeling, and feelings are inherently temporary. If our main objective in life is to experience the feeling of happiness, then by definition, we will always be chasing happiness, except for the few fleeting moments when we are indeed happy. So instead of happiness, I've chosen to pursue joy. Joy is an inward sense of well-being that cannot be shaken. This is not a feeling, it is a state of being. It's tough to be happy when things in life are hard, but it's much easier to maintain an inward sense of well-being even when the circumstances are less than ideal. Choosing this way of living has made me a much more content person, and it's made me wonder, why isn't this a more common thing? And after thinking about it for like a second, it occurred to me that it is much harder to sell products and services to people who have an inward sense of well-being than it is to those who are always chasing happiness.